Long time no see fams, it's your boy finally back with another keyboard content. With this time, we are looking at one of the most anticipated boards of mid-2023, and it is the TKD Cycle7. Let's start with some small trivia. This is actually a collab board between Vertex, who made stuff like the Vertex Angle and the Vertex Arc, which are some of the fantastic and gorgeous boards that popularized platelets builds, and also by Equals, who is the man behind the 10G switches and also the C3 stabilizer sets. So what happens when two famous names came together to make something? And you bet it is something great. And before you ask, perhaps you already knew, the Cycle7 is actually way more cheaper than Vertex's previous release, so let's find out what it is about. In itself, this is the keyboard case. You also got the box and stuff, and that's not important, so I'll just skip through that and just see what's inside the case. And you got the keyboard kit, of course, and you also got stuff like foam packs, case foam, plate foam, key foam. You got your USB wire, keycap puller, and you have your set of stabilizers, which I already installed. We'll talk about it later. And you got your mounting pieces, gasket pins and gasket strips. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll first go over the layout, which is the FRL TKL, which means no F-rolls and no 10 keys, which is the numpad portion, leaving you just a couple of keys more than the EKEY68. This is quite interesting for me because in 2023, you have things like the Ipo maker Shadow X adopting a pseudo FRL TKL to actual customs like KBD Fans Pluto. So this layout, I think it's kind of in a niche space between 65% and also TKLs. And speaking from my own experience, I have been cutting down on 65% collection and mostly go for TKLs until the Cycle7 group buy launch. However, due to stuff like TKD themselves already announced that they are kind of in a newbie in the anno process and screw up the first batch, causing delays to everybody else, I ended up got the package of the Cycle7 at the end of January, I think. So it is fairly late to get this review up, so to speak. Back to the topic, as a TKL lover, I actually appreciate the FRL TKL layout because I mainly use the F-rolls, F2 to rename stuff, and F5 to refresh pages, which I can now just use FN and the number row instead. And also, I'm a sucker for long rectangles, so the ratio on the FRL TKL is just way bigger, longer, so this is just, damn, so good. As for mounting, it is the very common gasket mount with options of gasket nubs, which is this thing over here, which goes into the middle portion of the tabs, or the very usual common silicone gasket socks that goes over the entire thing. They look like this. Oh, by the way, I got the steps and switches pre-installed, so I'll just give you a quick rundown on other things. Compared to the Neo 60 and Neo 80 already embraced magnetic connection, the Cycle7, a bit unfortunate, is still using JST cable, which is fine, because they have the consideration to leave kind of a guiding cutout at the bottom case for the cable to just kind of lay at the perfect angle with no additional stress onto the PCB and the female port. And other than that, we have to talk about the ball catch latch system, which is this thing on the case right here. And to open it up, you just kind of push down on the sides, just kind of lift it up like this, and you do it on the same on the bottom side, and it just kind of come out on its own. And this is just so good for people to experiment without having to, unscrew and screw back everything else. They can just open up the case, put in some foams, close it back. This is just so good, so fast. I absolutely love this. And of course, the steps, which is a C3 Eco step set, is included with the Cycle7 kit, so you don't need to buy another set. But of course, you need to take out your screw set and screw them in, unless you're using another set of TX or Cherry clip-ins. So yeah, for the build, I've chosen the new Cherry Nixies, also known as the black clear tops. I got them as part of the UN sale last year, costing at just 2 ringgit per switch instead of the standard 280. Because I want to find out what's the deal with this old design come back, which so many people have been requesting for. And the plate is alu plate, because cherry plus alu plus gasket mount, absolute win. And for keycaps, I have a simple set of DCX white on black. So let's quickly build it and see how it sounds. Hi. So a quick review for the switches first. The new Nixis definitely is something special, and I'm kind of hooked to the sound because of the unique scratchiness. To my ears, if I use MX Blacks, it is kind of a sandy scratch, like those kind of like scratchy sound, but the Nixis is more high pitches and more frothy. It's like kind of a swishy sound. This difference is at least kind of big to me, made me a fan of the new Nixis. But the spacebar is a bit tricky in my own opinion, because MX Blacks can make a very clean spacebar sound, but the Nixis have a bit of stem wobbling that makes a kind of a ticking sound, so you technically can hear a very distinct two-layer top-out sound. But all in all, as in any cherry switch, you give them a light loop, spring swap, filming, and you won't get disappointed as much, I guess. You like it, you hate it, you'll be yourself. As for the keycaps, I think the DCX keycaps actually just have a very minute height difference against cherry, but the typing feeling is completely different. Comparing to GMK, DCX actually has little to no surface texture like the GMK, so it is very smooth, super smooth like iFree sets for example. But the sounds goes for the dipole spectrum instead, and they are very well made to fit all kinds of MX switches. My own experiencing in fitting these on the new Nixis between GMK and DCX, GMK often goes way too tight very often, while DCX is just on the spot, easy to take off, easy to fit in. But as most people would agree, cherry switches in foamless config have to be paired with GMK for that clean clack, and I have to back that up for real, since DCX kind of just cuts off the higher pitch of the Nixis scratch, so as a result the scratch is a bit muted. But it is cleaner in sound, especially in the spacebar, and also works extremely well with like PC top and nylon bottom switches. Well, you know, for example, I tried with the Echo Vintage white switches back in the days, and it is super clacky, super loud as hell. So if you're using things like the Owlab Neons or Gateron CJs, perhaps DCX is the way to go. But you also have to factor in things like availability of your region, your preference, what kind of colors you can get. You can either aim for DCX, which is in stock most of the time, and you might be able to snag a buy one free one set at certain, like, you know, holiday seasons, or you just go for the try and true GMK. So the Cycle7 in my eyes have set a really competitive example as in how to produce a really well designed board from just $140 US, steps included. I personally paid around 720 in Ringgit Malaysia for the whole thing, and for this level of design and care, like the PCB flex cut plugs, the anode quality, very nice. Not really dependent on foams to sound good. I can tell you at this price, if you can swallow the idea of FRL TKL, you'll be amazed by the Cycle7 in terms of build quality, sound, is just like everything. But in 2024, no one really knows what's in this keyboard hobby as of now, and perhaps there's more banger budget boards to come. So if you really ask me, I could recommend you to take like high well maintained Cycle7 in the second-hand market at about 600 is my acceptable price range. If you can find one, just go for it. This is just really damn brainless to be this good. So yeah, that's all for this video. If you have any questions for the bot, let me down in the comments below and I'll see you pretty soon. Peace.